back here?
Kind of surreal. When I got up this morning, I said, I'm going to Florida State-Miami again. I got, my hair on my neck stood up. got a little antsy, but it is very surreal. I mean, like our offices were kind of holding up in the baseball. I walked in the baseball place first, and I said, I expect Levin and me be sitting there talking. And I told everybody, I said, I used to sit in the dugout. You know what I mean? So, just, I mean, I was always, like I said, I always loved Florida State. Florida State was home, but it's very surreal and kind of, I got butterflies. I really do. Just kind of the ants in your stomach of coming back, and because it meant so much to me. It's kind of nostalgic. It really is.
What's it like watching the 25 Seminoles? What have you taken away from watching them this year?
I like this team. I really do. Unfortunately, I know they had a tough setback last week. I was shocked a little bit how we gave up some yards rushing. But at the same time, that happens sometimes. And that's what makes it. You can't have great victories without a little adversity. And then this is the perfect time to get right back. I think this game happens at a perfect time for them. But this is a talented football team. Offensively, they're dynamic. I said they're very unique in that the teams that are, when they run all the quarterback run stuff, usually can't throw it very well. This team can do both, and it's got guys that can get on the edge on those speed sweeps, which make you defend. You're big at receiver, you can block, and all of a sudden you overplay that. Tommy's running and the runs back on this side, and then all of a sudden you get play action with that big guy running down the field catching balls. But they do a good drop back deal. They did a drop back 2 minute, which is hard. Usually teams that play like that can't just traditionally throw the football. You know what I mean? Like the normal offenses. They got it all on offense, in my opinion, and are very productive and doing well. Defensively, they play, like I said, last game I think was an anomaly. I think they got caught up, but they played well at Alabama. They're playing well. They got playmakers. The safeties are good. They can tackle. The corners are playing well. They're big up front, and they got a good kicking game. I think it's a very good football team. It's fun to watch.
Building off what you said at the start, which is Florida State-Miami, you've been a part of big games. You know the environment. Can you kind of contextualize what you're expecting Saturday night, and when Doak is rocking, what is it really like?
Isn't it? When that chant's going in there ain't nothing like it. There ain't nothing like it. It's one of the best places in America to play. And that thing, when you leave here, that's in your head for 3 weeks. The opposing teams, they always tell me, everybody used to tell me when we were playing in a row, said, man, I heard that chant for 3 weeks after the game. It just echoes in your head because it happens so many times. But I mean, I'm happy for these. I'm gonna say this: to play in a great rivalry like Florida State-Miami is great for these kids. To play in it when you're ranked and it means something for a championship or having get back in a national playoff hunt, I think it's even more. So you get to be part of history. And if you think about it, from 1980 on, I would be hard pressed to see a series that has had the amount of players on both sides that have played in this game and went on to play pro football, college football heroes, Heisman trophies, national championships. I mean, you're hard pressed to ever be in a series that ever has had better players ever playing. Maybe it's equal, but I would say none any better. And for you're a kid and you're a player, that's what you dream of doing. I always say that's when you're in the backyard. If you're a Florida State fan, dreaming of making that catch, run, or throw that beats Miami. And if you're a Miami kid, of beating Florida State. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the uniqueness about these great rivalries. But for it to mean something like it is right now, for possible an ACC championship, getting a national playoff, I think it's awesome. It's a great opportunity for them, man. It's awesome.
What's your favorite moment from your coaching time here in this rivalry?
You know, going down there with my first year as a head coach, it was my 45th birthday. We scored 45 that day. I don't know if you remember that. We won it. And we were an underdog. We were like 45-17. And, we got a pretty good team. I measure up here when they lengthened the game, when Bradham made the hit and they called targeting, it wasn't. Remember, he rolled in that, give him a touchdown. We had to recover the onside kick. I can remember them all. EJ, as a matter of fact, Chris Thompson makes the catch on the rail down there, blows his knee. Freeman hasn't played much because, if you remember, his brother had gotten killed a couple weeks earlier, and he was really, and that week he came to us and said, Coach, I'm going back to Miami. I feel good. I can play again. We put him in the game in the second half. He scores 3 touchdowns and has 90-some yards. 2013, we're tied up here. They had an incident where somebody kind of spit or did something to one of our players. We beat them 27-0 the rest of the game. They kind of made him mad. 14, we're down there. 14, Dalvin, that's when he was a freshman. We're in a tight game. We put him in. All he does is carry it in the third quarter and fourth quarter 7 times for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we win the game. 15 was up here. All Dalvin did was run for 222 yards and put on a show. He was a cane. That's one thing Dalvin was. When Miami came, he was a cane killer, boy. 200 had to catch. 16 was the block and the rock. Those games, I can remember every one of them. And then up here, the one that we were 7-1 during my time here, and the one we lost, you remember we scored with James. We threw a touchdown with about 3 minutes to go. They were trying to hit a field goal to tie it. unfortunately, they hit a go route and beat us. You know what I mean? I mean, all those games were all tight-knit games, and a couple of them were top 10 matchups. And I remember I had all of them were favorites, because to be a part of being able to play in that series to me was, I grew up as a kid loving them. I told the story, and I'm going to tell it on TV today. In 1987, maybe my favorite Florida State-Miami game was 87. Unfortunately, Miami won it. I'm a senior player, and we're playing a team at Sanford. We had a really good team that year. I can say this now, it's 50 years afterwards. Jeff was the OC, and Terry's the head coach, Bobby's son. We were trying to follow that game. We knew it, and it was the same time ours was. Right here, in the afternoon. And so I talked Jeff, and I said, this team we're playing is not very good, Jeff. I promise you I'll go play really good. I made him take a little TV to the press box. just on. I said, so the first drive, I throw a touchdown. Second drive, throw a touchdown. Third, so we're up 21-0 by the end of the first game. We know we're going to blow them out. So I get over the sideline, I grabbed the headset from Terry. I said, Terry, we didn't have all that stuff at small college. And I said, let me talk to Jeff, make sure. Yeah, but we're up 21. We know what we're going to do. They can't stop us. I said, don't you want to get 30, you know? Getting into he said, yes. I said, what's the score? So he would keep me. I would come off a series. I'd throw a touchdown. We ended up winning that day like 59-0. I threw 5 in. So we threw, and every time I come off, I get the headset. And I said, Jeff, what's score? What's score? And that was the game where they were up 19-3, had the high snap, went over his head. They got momentum, come back when they had 26-19. We score. Dexter catches a rail route, up 26-25, and Bobby's kicking it. I don't know if you remember this. They were kicking it and going to tie it. He had made his mind up the night before that if it does, he's going to tie it if they have him in that situation. And the players talked him out of it, and they went for two and tried to throw it to Pat in the corner and got broke up. I mean, you know, I said their name them all. Dexter dropping the flag on Bernard's head in 89. You know, this kind of reminds me of that, where they had started 0-2. They got to have the game, had some adversity right before. And, you know, you had to play Miami and be able to come back. So hopefully, you know, one of those deals where you can't have a great victory unless you get a little adversity.
Have you toured the facilities?
I haven't had it. I was going to try to yesterday, but I had a business meeting last night, and I'm going to try to here, which I'm glad they got them.
I know you always wanted that thing over there. How beneficial is it to the program for that?
I mean, where the game has gone, that's what I was trying to say back then, where the visionary of where I knew kind of some things were in the works, and I was just trying to get us ahead of them. And I think it's huge for the program. I think for recruiting, for development, for the amount of room you got to have for the expanded staffs. I mean, now you got a general manager staff, you got a recruiting staff, you got PR. I mean, the amount of people you have to have. We were just confined in the old ways, you know, and you have to have that for the personnel to get your job done. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the business and how the game has changed, and it's going to be huge for them in all aspects and make the program just soar, in my opinion.
You lived life as an SEC head coach, as an ACC head coach. How much tougher financially is it maybe in this conference, just because the money's just a little bit different?
That's the thing that bothers. Here, listen. The SEC commissioner's looking out for the SEC, and he should be. Big Ten commissioner's looking out for the Big Ten. Should be. That's his job. The ACC commissioner, the Big 12. But what bothers me about this whole thing is a discrepancy in these conferences. Now, I believe this. I think Florida State, Clemson, Miami, teams that are traditionally have those powers, I think you'll be able, I mean, you're going to because of who you are. But still, why do you have to play on $30, $40 million less than what everybody else is doing? Here's my question to the people in charge. Who has college football's best interest at heart? Can anybody name one? You can't name a person who has college football's best interest, and that's what scares me in this whole thing. And you're pushing teams. I mean, you think about this, between Miami, Clemson, and Florida State, that's 11 national championships since 1981. All right, how many years is it? 25 and
44 years.
40. So one out of every four, one of these three teams has won it, and you're telling them you get $40 million less than somebody else. That, unlike the benefits of teams like, for instance, Northwestern, Indiana, which are playing good. I'm not having anything like that, but those guys are getting all that money, and you're one of the teams that have won 11 national championships, and you're how does that seem right? And where does I thought college sports is about fairness. You know what I'm saying? Especially in college. Let's give it. That's what we need. Somebody somewhere to get these other. Because I'm gonna tell you what. I know this sounds crazy. The long term of football. When I was a kid in the 70s, what was the number one sport in the world?
Baseball.
By far. I mean, the others were there, but it wasn't even close. What's number one now? Football. All right? And if we don't keep taking care of the game, and what I keep saying is if we dwindle this thing, I'm getting in a long answer, but if we dwindle this thing to where it's those two conferences and maybe whoever's can trickle into there, because other teams eventually, what I think is going, if you can't play for a championship, why am I playing? Why am I spending millions of dollars to play for this? And here's the other thing. All right, where does, and I always say this, you want to play, I think everybody should play 10 conference games, me personally, because I think the conference is so big now, you can't tell a true conference champion because it's based on who your schedule falls into in the league. You know what I mean? And then go play another Power 4, but I think you should still go play an FCS. And I say this for this reason, not because it's a win. You're giving the money. How are those guys going to survive financially? And then he plays who? Division 2. He plays at Division 3. So the money trickles down because you still need people to play football. It's like a minor league system to baseball. If minor league baseball didn't have, you wouldn't have pros. And especially the way the NIL is, how you're developing players. But here's the thing. High school kids are going to say, you know what, if Division 2 goes away, Division 3 goes away, which I think eventually this could happen on some of your Division 1s because when I play these sports, it's not cost me all this money. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm not playing football anymore, so there's no scholarships. I can't go to Division 2 school like I did and get a scholarship, or Coach Bowden did, or all these people. So what are they going to do? They're going to go to alternate sports. And then I think your high, it's going to, I'm talking 15, 20, 25 years from now, just like baseball was and then. And I think it's going to hurt the sport of football. And I think that's what bothers me about this. Well, we got these, yeah, but you're going to, where's your coaches going to get developed? Where your players going to get developed? Where's all your high school guys that are playing ball to develop those 2 Division 1 players that are going to the top 50? I mean, maybe I look at it backwards, but I still think there's a bigger picture here that we're missing because nobody has college football's best interest at heart. Not one person. They say they do, but they got based off, it's their best interest based off what my best interest is, whatever conference it is. And that's their job. I get it. I'm not blaming anyone, but to make a long story short about your money discrepancies, it's not fair and it's wrong, however you look at it.
With the way playoff access is now, like winning your conference gets you into it, could you imagine a world where you would sit guys against Florida to be healthy for a conference championship game to go into the playoffs?
See, now you're getting like pro football. I mean, maybe. I mean,
where we're at,
I'm not
though,
going.
right?
I'm not. You're exactly right. I'm not saying that won't happen. Maybe myself, I'd have a hard time. And I know the guys I coach, you would never sit them. Like the guys coming to our thing yesterday, Dalvin. Remember when he played in the bowl? Everybody said, "I can't believe you played in the bowl." Wait a minute. Why? I'm going to play if we're playing on the parking lot. You get the right guy. But yeah, I mean, could I see that coming? Probably. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. That's for sure.
You look good, Coach.
Thank you.
You're still young. I mean, do you know what would be the right opportunity for you to get back in? Or is this something that you would just
I missed the players, missed the camaraderie, and just somewhere that it's going to allow you to be competitive. It give you the resources. Now, I don't want to choose advantage, but just you can go be competitive and win games and have a chance to play for a championship. You know what I mean? It gives you a chance.
Florida State's obviously got its 3 great annual rivalries. Is there something different about being specifically in the middle of that Miami game?
I'm going to tell you what, for this generation that grew up from the 80s on, that game determined who played for national championship. That that term. So I always say this: the generation from the 80s on is Miami. The older generation is Florida, because they hated Florida because Florida always looked their nose down, wouldn't come here to play, do the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but to be in a rival, like I said before, to have put your name beside Deion Sanders, Ron Simmons, people forget that. You know what I mean? The Sammy Smiths, the Dalvin Cooks, the Lee Corsos. You go the Peter Boulwares, the Corey Simons, whoever. I'm Warwick Duns. And on Miami side, Michael Irvin, and whoever else. I mean, to say you played in those games and got to play on the same side as those guys and be remembered in history like that, man, it's as good as it gets.
Kind of following up on that, you have the portal now where guys can come in for a year and leave, but for a guy like Tommy Castellanos, he comes in here, he's embraced by the fans immediately, does what he does against Alabama. What do you see in him as a Florida State quarterback and kind of what he's done to acclimate?
I'll tell you what, it's fun to watch him. I mean, because he's dynamic, and that a lot of your guys that win with their feet are very, very below average with their arm. He's not. And the guys that can really throw it are below average. He has both. And he has the weapons around him, and they're using them the right way. In my opinion, I think Gus is doing a great job with him. And I'll tell you what he's got. He's got personality. He's got that hump. He's got confidence, not arrogance. And he's playing with it. You know what I mean? And to me, it's carrying over. And just like last week, he took his team down in 2 minutes and made that throw he made in the left corner. And unfortunately, I know that the deuce we had to drop, but he still took his team down. That's going to be an interesting thing in this game, too. You have 2 quarterbacks that are experienced that have, Beck did it versus Notre Dame, and he did it versus Virginia. Whoever gets the ball last, you got guys that are capable, and he's capable of being a double-headed monster, whether he's throwing it or running it. So he's fun to watch.
I may have been eavesdropping on you. Did you say Deuce reminds you of KB?
Well, I mean, because you're forcing such a dominant body. You know what I mean? All right, you're going to play me one-on-one? You can cover me, but I'm not covered. You know, it's the way KB was for us. We had rules on certain times. He's one-on-one, throw it to him. Like I said, dude, that year KB had 1,000-some yards. He only had 51 catches, but he had 15 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then the whole time they're clouding the coverage. Well, then Rashad, that's why Rashad's the leading receiver in ACC history. And we had 3,000-yard receivers and a tight end that won the Mackey. But it starts by somebody being so dominant, that you have to dictate to him. You know what I mean? Or he'll dictate to you. And that's what's starting to happen in these last. I was so happy the last 2-3 games, the way he's like he come out of his shell. And you say you're going to play him one-on-one, okay, but now I'm going to double him, so now you're making somebody else better because of what happens. And size, because he's size, speed, and power, you know what I mean, and ball skills, so it's fun to watch.
Last one, guys.
Prediction, Coach. I mean, you saw Florida State does so many different things. Seems like Miami just wants to do one simple thing and be sound. I mean, how does that match up?
I mean, you know, Florida State's going to stop the run. Miami's going to make them prove it. And then when they do, Miami does a good job of taking shots off the play action. They got to play them. I think Florida State to get off to a good start on offense. And I say keep the score even to ahead to where Miami can't dictate the game by the pounding ground and eat the clock a little bit, and which they can definitely do. And, hey, we're in Tallahassee, and we've had wide left. We've had wide right. We're going to get wide middle. Right down the middle will be a late field goal, and the nose are going to win it on the late field goal. We're going to get wide middle this time.
Thank you, guys.